Good afternoon, everyone. Once again, today we're going to continue our discussion on R and R Studio. So far, what we have done was to discuss the different data classes. We learned before that we have numeric, and we have integer, character, logical, complex, and dates. And there are other examples, other types of data classes, but we're just going to focus on these that are relevant to us. So for numeric, we discussed that, for example, the number pi. Okay, pi is a built-in constant. Okay, here. So you can assign a particular name object to this value, and we learned that it's better to use the assignment operator, this less than and then dash. We call it assignment operator instead of the equal sign. So the use of the parentheses here means that we want to print whatever the value of D1A here is. So the shortcut for this, as we learned before, is Alt minus or Option minus. So if I run this, let me check first. Okay, so my environment now is empty. If I run this, okay, the creation of this object D1A will be recorded here in the environment, and it will reflect the value of this object D1A, and it's equal to pi. Okay, so if we check the class of pi, the class of D1A, okay, and then let's distinguish it with type of. So there's another classification. There's another functional dimension, D1A. So we not only have class, but also the type of. So let me run this. And here below, we get the printout. So it's 3.14, etc. And the class is numeric, and then the type of is double. Okay, so this is one thing that we would like to know. Yung type of class, it's a lower classification. The general classification for D1A, which is equal to pi, this is numeric and numeric data. The type of, okay, it gives us double. It means that, okay, since this can take on a decimals, okay, R would allocate more bytes to it. We're talking of the memory here, the memory given to this particular value number. So it will take on the type of is double. Okay, this is only true for numeric. If we have integer, ang class niya integer, ang type of din niya integer pa rin. So only in the case of numeric where the type of is quite different, no? Numeric yung class niya, pero yung type of niya is double. Okay, so let's take a look at this. D4. D4, let's take the class of D4. D4, and then type of D4. Okay, if I run this, so here I'm putting it in parentheses, which means it will print it below the value of D4. Let me close this first. And then get the type, class, and then type. So we have here, the value is 100, and the class is integer, and the type of is also integer. Okay, so if it's an integer, the type of will still be the same. It will be integer. Okay, same thing with character. Okay, so D5 here is true. It's in quotes, so this is a character. And then let's get the class of D5, and then also the type of D5. And you get here, okay, D5, the value is true. It's character, the class, and then the type of is also character. Okay, so what I wanted to point out here was if it's a numeric data type, then the class will be numeric, the type of will be double. And it has something to do with the memory, the space, the bytes, number of bytes provided to that number, that object, because it can take on decimal places. So same thing with a logical value. Let me just put this in parentheses so that we can print it. Okay, let me just use F here. F, because F can stand for false. And then let's get the class of, just get D6A, and then the type of D6A. Okay, so if I run this will give us the first value is true, the second value is false, the class is logical, and the type of is logical. And the same thing with complex number. Okay, let me pause for a while. Any questions so far, class, about your numeric data, numeric data type? You have your integer, you have your character, and then you have your logical. Are we clear so far? May I request you to please chat the chat box kung clear tayo so far. Yes, thank you. Okay. Okay, good. Okay, thank you so much. I hope the others will also reply next time kasi mukhang hindi pa nag-1 half yung nag-reply. Okay. All right. So last time we also, for complex, diba? What's the meaning of I here? Ano ba yung I? Anyone? I is, yes, a clear imaginary number. And what's the where do you get I? What's the mathematical representation of I? I is a mathematical representation of what expression? Okay, thank you. You're correct. Clear. When you answer, class, kindly share your answer to everybody. Don't just send your answer to me. Could you kindly copy your answer, please, Claire, and send it to everybody in the chat box? Okay, naka-direct message pa rin, naka-sakin pa rin. Send it to everyone, please. Okay, there. Imaginary number. Hindi, yung square root, no? Square root of a negative number. Actually, it's square root of 1. So, we know that the square root, for example, of 9 is 3, di ba? Square root of 25 is 5. Actually, plus or minus 3 or plus or minus 5. Kasi 3 times 3 will give us 9, or negative 3 times negative 3 will give us 9. Now, if I get the square root of negative 1, okay, you cannot find a number where if you square it, if you multiply it by itself twice, it will give you negative 1. It's definitely not 1 because 1 times 1 is 1. It's neither negative 1 because negative 1 times negative 1 is equal to 1. So the square root of negative 1 is undefined. Therefore, mathematicians have called this as I. This is your imaginary number. Okay? And I times I, so that I multiplied by I, or I squared, okay? I times I squared is equal to, okay, negative 1. All right? So that's where this I comes from. So in fact, this is square root of negative 2. The square root of negative, this is 2 times square root of negative 1. So that gives us 2 times I, complex number. Okay. And also last time we discussed yung date function. So, now yung date natin, class, sabi natin, this is not a date, 2023-05-12. This is May 12, 2023, because this will be treated as a number. Okay, if I get the class of this, class D8, or type of D8, okay, so definitely this will be a numeric value. Class is numeric and type of is double. So if I run that, let's see below. So this is 2006, it's numeric because what R did was to subtract. Same thing here. It will divide 2023 divided by 5 divided by 12. So this will be treated as numeric. For this one, D8B, this will be treated as a character. Class D8B. Okay, di ba? Character siya kasi this is in quotes. Okay, so it's a character data type. Now, if we want to make this as date, okay, then okay, let's put this in parentheses. We have to make use of the as.date function. That's D9. Okay, so before I run this, okay, itong as.date function, if you want to learn more about this, you can always go in the console, you can use that question mark. So this is how you seek the help assistance of R. Okay, question mark as.date, and you can do that in the console and then control enter, and then it will give us here, lead us to this one. Okay, as.date base. So from which package is this as.date function come from? Anyone? From what package is this coming from? Itong as.date na to. Saan siya galing? What package is that coming from? Yung function na yan, as.date. Okay, anyone, class? Nakita nyo dito, dyan, it's there. It defines where that function is coming from. Cron, okay, not cron, but rather, ito class, ito, yun. Ito, as.date, and then here, you find here in brackets yung base. So it comes from the base package. Okay, whenever you ask for a particular function, for example, ggplot. Okay, so that's a function, ggplot. Let's see. Okay. Sorry. May package kasi ito, no? So hindi, ito na lang. Let's say, select. So I'm looking at this function called select. No documentation. Okay, so sabi niya double ano daw, double question mark. Select. Okay. So this is a function called select. Hintayin natin kung saan siya.
Hi sir, Miss Cal present.
Okay, mamaya na, mamaya. Select. Okay, so ito, no? May sinasabi. Marami siyang sinasabi dito, no? It means that select comes from several packages. Okay, let's choose one. Okay. Ang dami ito, no? So deploy R. Okay. I think I chose a wrong function kasi masyadong masyadong maraming select, masyado siyang common. Anyway, class, yung kanina, yung as.date, help. Okay, balik natin. Question mark, as.date, as.date. So this function comes from this package base. Yan. Okay, can you kindly please check your packages? Go to packages and then type base here. Here, type new base. Okay, and what do you see, class? What do you see? Do you see the base there among the packages? Feedback, please, class. Do you see base among the packages? So I'm going to wait for the response of the others. Okay, yes. Okay. So many of you saw the base package reflected in the packages. And what do you notice about the base package, class? What do you notice about it? In particular here, dito. Okay, it is checked. Okay, do you have it checked also, class? Paki-confirm nga kung naka-check din yung base niya. Alright. So anong ibig sabihin na naka-check siya? Okay, first, it's already there. No? Ibig sabihin, it's already installed. Naka-install na siya. So any package that's listed there is already pre-installed. So if you did not install that, kasama na siya naka-install pag nagbukas tayo ng R. Okay, it's already pre-installed, so there's no need for us to install that particular package. Secondly, naka-check siya. What does that indicate? Okay, nag-answer dito si Carlos, sabi niya the package is loaded. Okay, that's correct, no? So ibig sabihin, ano ibig sabihin ng loaded, Carlos, what's the implication if it's loaded?
Sir, you could use the functions within the package.
Okay, or corollarily, you could use the functions. Therefore, what has that got to do with the library function? Carlos? How do you load a particular package? Kasi kung may naka-install na package, di ba? Automatically ba na magagamit mo yun? Hindi. Okay, it's not automatic that you're able to use that package. How are you able to use that package? You have to use, Carlos, you should know this, no?
Sir, this is the library
Of
ba?
course. Siyempre, library, di ba? Ila-library mo siya or require bago mo siya magamit. Class, no? If you install a particular package, okay, you cannot automatically use that. So once you have installed that package, kailangan gamitin mo yung functional library. Library or required para magamit mo siya. Okay, for example, dito, may mga packages ako dito, no? Yan. So, I have here the package. Okay, let me just choose one, dply R. Okay, I have here dply R. Ito ibig sabihin na install ko na to before. All right, I have used the function install that packages dply R. Okay, so once I have installed it, it's now available for use. However, it's not automatically available for use. Kailangan ko muna siyang i-load. So how do I load that? I can either type library and then dplyr or just click this. Okay, when I click this, what happens? Ayun, may lumabas na function na code dito. Library dplyr. So clicking a particular package is the same as writing this, library dplyr. Okay? So yung base nyo, nakaklik siya. Ibig sabihin, automatically, naka-library na yun. And automatically, lahat ng functions coming from the base package can already be used. Okay, same thing with, check nyo nga yung stats package. Stats. Yan, stats package, please. QRS. Okay, what do you notice about the stats package? Is it already installed in your computer? Class, naka-install na ba yung stats package? No? Okay, thank you. Yes, it's already installed. And is it already loaded? Yeah, thank you, Carlos. Yeah, you're correct. Installed and loaded. No, di ba naka-check na siya, di ba? Hindi naman natin to linode kanina, hindi tayo nag-library dito. But automatically naka-check na siya when you open your R or R Studio. So preloaded na yan. So there are packages that already are preloaded, so you don't have to anymore load them. There are others and many other packages that you have to install. And the way to do it is either go to the packages and here go to install, okay, and then write that here, no? Okay, just one last example. For some of you, if you check this package, for some of you, you won't find this package. Yan, quant mode. Paki-check nga, class. Kindly check if you have this package in R, quant mode package. So under packages and then go to quant mode. And then may I have your confirmation, class, if you have this quant mode package installed? No, thank you. Thank you. All right. For some of you, especially those who were my students before, na-load na install na natin to, no? But for many of you, wala pang quant mode. So this will not appear. So how do you install that? To install a particular package, so ang ginagawa natin, either type install that packages or go here install dito, di ba? Install. And then paki-type nyo nga, class, yung quant mode dito. QUANTMOD, and then install. And then check what happens to your console. Anong lalabas sa console? Lumalabas ba yung install that packages? Sige nga, class, kindly try. And then please tell me, paki-copy paste and paki-chat kung ano lumabas dun sa console about installing that package. Waiting for your chat, please. Yes. Okay, thank you, Carlos. How about the others, please? Okay. Okay. So meron ditong meron ditong yung sinabi ni James dito, this is interesting. No? Sabi dito, warning, our tools is required to build our packages but it's not currently installed. Please download and install. Thank you, James, for sharing this. When you get this message, sundan niyo yung sinasabi. No? So sabi niya, dapat i-install mo nag-install ba, James, si Quant Mode? Did it appear here in your packages? Sometimes kasi magsasabi ng ganitong message, pero i-install pa rin niya. James, did Quant Mode install?
Yes po, sir.
Okay, thank you. So nag-install kay James, Okay, kaso, later on, pag ginamit natin tong Quant Mode, baka may nagka-problema kasi may sinasabi siyang packages na dapat isama, yung RTools. But let's discuss that in the future. For now, ang focus lang natin kung paano mag-install ng packages. And then when you install class, naka-click na ba to? Hindi, di ba? Hindi. So if you want to use this, kindly type library and then quant mode. Sige nga, class please. So type library and then quant mode. There. So that means that you are accessing that. You're loading this particular package. So control enter. All right. So nung linode ko na siya, yan, na-load na siya, no? There. It's already loaded. Nag-add lang siya ng, okay, saan na yun? Library, ano bang ginawa ko? Library, quant mode. Tapos, may sinama pa siyang ibang package, XTS, Zoo, etc. And then, if I take a look at my package window pane, and then my quant mode, notice, nag-check siya. No? Hindi ko naman chinek to. I didn't check it. I just wrote library quant mode. So the result of clicking this is the same as writing library quant mode. Or if you write library quant mode, it's the same as checking this. It means it's making the functionalities of quant mode available to us. Okay? So pause muna ako. We're talking a lot about packages. No? Kasi we're going to meet so many and use so many packages. So it's important for us to know how to install packages. You just use install that packages and then open parentheses quotes, put the packages under quotes, or we can go here, packages, and then install. Dito install, no? Tapos isusulat natin dito yung package and then install. Okay. All right. Then, as I said, in order to use the functionalities of a particular package, kailangan i-load natin using library or required. Okay, so balik tayo dito, no? So, this one, for D9, we're using the function as.date 2023-05-12. If we click this, if we enter this, so tama, no? 2023-05-12. As that date. Okay. Now, I'm not so sure if we discussed this last time. Let's copy this, Control C, Control V. Let's create another object, D10. D10, as that date. This time, I'm going to make it month. Okay, so May, let's make it May 16, which is today, slash 2023. Okay, so that's May 16, 2023. And then let's take a look at the class of D10. Okay, could you tell me, please, what happened? Did it generate the correct date? First, date object ba yung nangyari? Tapos, okay, error. So some of you got errors. Error to character is not in standard. Okay. So kay Conrad, sabi niya error. Kay Carlos, error din. Okay. Error din. Yung, sometimes, mag-run siya. Okay, let me run this. Let's see kung hindi mag-error sa akin. Let's take a look at it. In my classes a while ago, nag-run siya. Okay, sa akin error din. Pero dun sa ibang students, nag-o-okay siya. Kaso, nagiging weird yung date. Kasi ito, nagiging ang year niya 0005. Okay, tapos 16, tapos 20. Okay, bakit ganun? Kasi ang default nito class is year and then month and then day. So yung function na as.date, ang default niya, dapat ito year, month, day. Kaso binago ko siya. No? I made this as month, day, year. So can this be converted to a date? Kasi ito error, no? Character string is not in standard, unambiguous format. No? So ibig sabihin standard, unambiguous, dapat clear. No? And ang default nitong ask that date is dapat year to. So this should be 2023. Katulad nito, no? Ito tama 2023, 0512. So we got the correct answer here. In this case, sabi dito, it's not in a standard unambiguous format. Because the standard unambiguous format is this one. Year, month, day. Ito hindi. Okay, so in order to seek help, so this is meant for us to learn how to seek help in R. Kunyari, pag nagkakaroon kayo ng problem sa isang function na ganyan, you can check this, what I did a while ago, as that date. No? Control Enter, and then it will give us this one. Sandali. Kanina lumabas yung ano natin, as that date. Sometimes pwedeng isang question mark, sometimes dalawa, depende. Okay. So ito naman, ang nangyari dito, ano naman, ang dami niyang binigay, no? So as that date dito, ito clock function, asa na si base? May lubricate din. I just want the base function. Oh, pwede rin lubricate, pero I'm not going to use lubricate now. Let's just first use gamitin lang natin si ano. Let me repeat. Kanina lumabas na yung as that date. Dito sa base. So let's take a look at yung as that date. Dito na lang sa ano. So let's go to packages. Kaso wala akong base function dito. I don't know why. So anyway, so I'll just use here base. From the base package, colon, as that date. Okay. Tingnan niyo to class, no? What did I do here? I want to ask R to help with some help. Kasi I know yung as that date is coming from the base package. So dinefine ko kung ano yung package, tapos that double colon here, and then yung function. Okay, so we can do that pag alam mo kung saan nanggagaling yung function na yun. We can identify the package and then the function. Lalagyan mo ng dalawang column. Okay, let me run this. Right, ito na yun yung kanina, no? There. As that date. Okay, so dito, ang sinasabi niya, ang standard na as that date, you have the X, you have the object, and then you have to define the format. Okay, and if you don't know the format, you can give try formats. Okay, so you have to define yung format niya. So you have here %y, %m, %d. Okay, so this is dash. So kung yung date mo expressed in dash, then you use this. Or expressed in slash, no? Yan, you express it here. Okay, so ang mali natin dito, class, hindi natin define yung format nito. So how do you define the format? Okay, may mga example dito. Okay, like this. Sabi dito, month, day, year. Ito yung sa atin, no? Read in date time in info in format month, day, year. Okay, so sasabihin mo, yung date kasi natin, month, day, year. So in order to correct this, dapat, so as that date, okay, ito yung ano natin, yung object natin, and then comma, we have to define the format. So quotes, okay, so we have, ang syntax dapat ito, no? Percentage M, since naka-slash tayo, so slash to. Percentage D, month, day, slash, and then percentage. Now, yung year, dalawang klase, no? Capital Y, which means 4 numbers yung binigay, or small y, ibig sabihin, yung ano lang, yung last 2 digits lang. Kaya tinan nyo to, class, no? 022792. So yung y niya, yung year niya, small y lang. Unlike here, diba? Yung y na dito, 4 digits kaya capital Y. In our case, it should be capital Y kasi 4 digits yung year natin. Okay? So you now have here as that date, May 16, 2023, and we defined it to be month, day, year, and the year is capital because 4 digits siya. Okay, and if we run this now, yung kaninang error, ma-address na siya. Okay, so let me run this. Okay, there. Diba? So, ano niya, print niya yung D10 in standard form. 2023, May 16, which is correct, no? And then it's a date already. Okay, so had this been a, pwede naman kasing ganito yung pagsulat ng date, di ba? So dapat ito magiging minus din siya. There, just to be consistent. Minus, 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 minus. Okay? Alright. But if this was, tingnan natin kung mag-auto-correct si R. Okay? Slash siya, and then ginawa natin minus, minus. Let's see what happens. Okay, NA siya, no? Nag-error kasi hindi naman niya nakita tong minus eh. Okay? But it's still a date. No? Kasi sinabi natin as that date pero NA. Okay, so I will have to replace that by slash again. All right, and then run it. Okay. Okay, let me pause for a while. Are you able to follow along, class? Kindly chat, please. Okay, sinabi dito ni Carlos, you can use the date ready on. Okay, we'll discuss that more in the future. In the meantime, ask that date muna tayo. Okay, thank you. Okay, good. Feedback from the others, please. Okay, please tell me if I'm going too fast. This is not a sprint, no? I'd like to entertain your questions. Okay. All right. I hope the others are able to follow along. Thank you for your feedback. I appreciate that. Okay, so let's now move on to. Okay. We're going to take a look at data structures now. Now, there are some of the functions here, diagnostic functions that we have learned. Una yung class, diba? We have looked at this type of, discussed it a while ago. The others, not yet. As we go along, we should be familiar with this, especially when we go to, when we're, or whatever model, yung names, kailangan natin yan. No? All right, so let's go here. Let's go now to data structure. Now, there are several types of data structure. Merong vectors, lists, matrices, arrays, factors, data frames. We can add here, pwedeng structure din yung time series. Okay, pwede rin yung panel data. Okay, so the first type that we're going to learn is vectors. Vectors, pinakasimple yan kasi atomic siya. Atomic, ibig sabihin, collection lang yan ng one type of data, one data type, as distinguished from a list which can contain more than one. So, for example, let's create an object. Okay, gamitin lang natin ang, let's say, B na lang, B1. Out minus. Si B consists of, C here means concatenate, no, or combine. A combination or concatenation of these numbers. Okay, so first, is this a vector? Yes, this is a vector because it consists of all numerics. A vector can only contain one numeric, one type of data. So pag ginawa natin A to, hindi na vector yan. Kasi meron ka ng numeric at saka meron kang character. So this is no longer a vector. Okay, so if we're generating a vector, lahat dapat pare-pareho. So let's see, i-print natin to. Okay, tapos kunin natin yung class ng B1, and then type of B1, and then let's also see the length, another function here, length of B1. Okay. So here we have B1, 1, 2, 1, 2, okay? We're going to print it, get the class, get the type of, get the length. So run natin to, run. Okay, so we have here 1 up to 8, and then it's numeric, and then the type of is double. No? and then the length is 8. Okay, so this is a numeric vector. Clear so far, class? Clear ba? We can copy this, Control C. Copy natin to. Control V. Okay, thank you. All right. So remember that the B here, the C here stands for concatenate. Okay, concatenate or combine. Now let's create another object, B2. B2, and then instead of typing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, let's just replace this by okay, tanggalin natin to. Okay. So B2 siya, B2, B2, B2. Okay. So here we're creating this object B2 and it's a sequence from 1 to 8. No? Ginamit natin yung 1 up to 8. Then we get the class, the type of, and the length. Let's see what R gives us. Okay, anong kaibahan nila, class? What's the difference between spelling out yung 1 up to 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 1:8? What's the difference? Class, ano difference? Integer. Okay, how about the others? Is that your observation? Okay, Conrad, thank you. Pareho ni Carlos, no? Okay, you're correct. Thank you, Carlos. Thank you, Conrad. Tama. No, yung una, when we spell out yung 1 up to 8, okay, concatenate it, this will give us a numeric vector. On the other hand, yung 1:8, hindi natin siya in-specify, but just use this this colon. So it turns out to be integer. So this is one of the sabi nating default ni R. Okay, so if you want to create a vector of integers, and gamitin niyo yung colon. Okay, instead of writing 1L, 2L, 3L, 4L, di ba? Hanggang 8L, matagal pa yon. Okay, even if we put here, you put this, even if we concatenate this, so kino-concatenate na natin yung 1 to 8. Okay, and if we run this, you still get the same, integer pa rin siya. So ito yung nag-prevail sa kanya, yung 1 up to 8. All right? Okay, so let's create another. What are the other ways? Control Alt I. We can create a vector of a numeric vector. So let's create another object. Let's call it B3. Okay. We can use a function called sequence, SEQ. And so sequence is a function. So paano natin to gagamitin? So sige, class, tingnan natin. So let's take a look at the function sequence, kung saan ba galing to. Okay, question mark, SEQ, sequence. All right, so this is again from the base package. And then what's good about the help function of R is that it gives us a comprehensive example, explanation, and then may example pa dyan. Yan, tingnan nyo, may example dito. So let's take a look at this and let's use this example. Gamitin natin tong yung by pi. No? Ito. So, all right. So let me put it here. So sequence, the first one is from is equal to, and then to is equal to, and then by is equal to. Alright. So, saan tayo magsisimula? From. Okay, take note in the example, kahit wala na linagay na from at saka to, understood na yun. But for our purposes, since we're starting, ilagay natin, no? From 1, let's put it from 1 up to 20, 1 up to 20, and then by pi. Remember that R will understand pi, di ba? Because this is a special constant. So it tells us that from 1 up to 20, mag-generate siya ng sequence ng numbers. May interval ng 3.14, 15, etc. And then let's see, kunin natin yung class nito. Class is B3. Kunin na rin natin yung length. B3. Okay, so let's run this. Let's run this code chunk. Run. Okay, so we can see here, okay, it's creating a sequence of numbers from 1 up to 20 by pi. Now notice it does not reach the exact number 20. So ang ginawa niya, nagdagdag siya from 1 plus 3.1415 and then plus 3.1415. Okay, every skip is a 3.1415 plus 3.1415. And then if I add another 3.1415 here, lalampas na siya ng 20. So it did not anymore continue. Okay, so this is numeric and there are 7 items here. Ito yung laman niya. So that's how we create a sequence of numeric numbers by using the sequence function. Okay, pwede rin ganito. So let me copy this. Control C, Control V. Let's now create another sequence. Let's call it B4. Sequence from 1 to 20. And then instead of by pi, by is equal to pi, I'm going to use some length dot out. Okay, this means that I want the same, x number of x elements in my object. Okay, so let me change this. 4. Okay, so what I'm going to do is itong unang subject natin, B3, di ba may 7 elements siya? So I'm going to create another sequence from 1 up to 20. This time, I'm not going to define the interval, but I'm going to define ilang elements. So gawin natin pareho. Kasi ito 7 to di ba? So ito gagawin ko ring 7. So let's see the difference between using by is equal to a certain number and length that out is equal to 7. Okay, we will now have a sequence of numbers that have the same elements, parehong 7. If I run this one, okay, now you can see that 1, 4.16, 17, etc., etc., and it ended in 20. Exactly 20 from 1, exact 1, up to exact 20. Okay, length that out is equal to 7. So let's count the number of elements here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So eksaktong 7 to. In fact, we asked for the length. It's 7. Kasi dinefine natin na length that out is equal to 7. Okay, so the difference between this one and this one, yung by is equal to, dito, ang dinedefine natin kung ano yung interval. Okay, since it's pi, so it's 3.1415 something. No? So ina-add niya yan. Okay, and then umabot siya sa 19.849. So hindi na niya tinuloy kasi pag nagdagdag pa siya ng pi, lalampas niya. Okay, so it's not the same. No? Although they have the same number of elements, 7, the sequence is different. Okay, paano nakuha itong ano? Ano ba yung difference niya? The difference is 3.166667, di ba? Well, that's very easy kasi kukunin lang natin yung, let's get the difference between the initial value. So the initial value is 20 and then minus 1. Okay, and then kukunin natin yung number of quote-unquote periods. Okay, number of increases. So since there are 7 elements, ilan yung intervals yan? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 intervals or 7 minus 1. Okay, there are 6 intervals. So, i-divide natin yung difference from 20, from 1 to 20 by the number of intervals. So I'm getting 3.1667, which is what was the yung increase niya, no? 1 plus 3.1667 is this one. And then if you keep on adding 3.1661, okay, in fact, dun sa dulo, so that's 20 minus this amount, kahit dun sa dulo, no? Control C, Control V, okay? It's the same, 3.1667. So, ano siya, talagang constant yung okay? So, any questions, class? So, this is how the sequence function works. So, you can create a sequence of numbers using this function either by identifying yung interval or identifying kung ilan yung numbers or ilan yung elements na lalabas dun saan dapat. Okay, yung length that out, exact yan. Makakuha na exact beginning and ending. Yung by is equal to, of course, you'll have the exact beginning kasi sa simula talaga magsisimula yan sa 1. And then dun sa ending, we're not sure. No? It depends. Okay, pause muna ako, class. Kindly chat, please, if okay tayo so far. Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you for your feedback, class. Okay, so another way to generate a vector of random numbers of numeric values is to use random numbers. So I'm going to create a code chunk here. Control Alt I in my case for Mac users, Command Option I. Diba? So we can make use of, let's first, tignan natin tong tong function called rand. Okay, question mark rand. Okay, there's this function called hindi rand, no? Sorry, not rand, but rnorm. Okay, we're going to create normally distributed numbers. Rnorm, Control Enter. All right, so it's coming from the stats package. So si stats package nan preloaded na yan, no? So we can make use of this function, rnorm. Okay. So you have here 4 distributions. Meron tayong dnorm. Okay, ito yung density. Distribution function. Ito yung yung pnorm, ito yung probability under the normal curve. And then you have qnorm, and then you have rnorm. Okay, ang gagamitin natin ngayon is rnorm because we would like to generate some random numbers. Sa rnorm class, ang syntax is rnorm and refers to the number of observations. Okay, number of observations. Okay, and then mean is equal to 0, and then standard deviation is equal to 1. So this is by default. No? By default, mean is equal to 0. Of course, you can change this. You can make it mean is equal to 100, and standard deviation is equal to any other number. But if you don't specify this, hindi natin linagay yan, automatically, R will assume that the mean is 0 and the standard deviation is equal to 1. Okay, so let's follow this syntax. Okay. So here, let's create this object. Ano ba tayo? B5 na. B5 na ba tayo? Okay, B4. Okay, B5. Just name this B5. Alt minus. Okay. So, actually, you can write a particular function. Ito rnorm, di ba? Or you can write it this way. Stats, colon, colon, and then rnorm. Okay. Notice that when I write stats and then colon, colon, lalabas dito yung mga functions ni stats package. So nasa baba siya R norm there. Right? So you can write it this way. Okay, or you can just write R norm. Pareho lang yun. Here, sinasabi lang natin kung saan galing yung R norm. Now, this is useful, especially if there are certain functions that have the same names in several packages. Okay? Kunyari, sa isang package na to, may isang function. Let's say the name of the function is function. And there's this other package whose name, that there exists another dysfunction function. Pareho mo ginagamit yung package nun. So how will you now tell R that yung function na ginagamit ko is from a particular package? So you can do this. Yan. So identify the package, stats, and then R norm. Okay? All right, so let's follow the syntax. N is, let's just use 100 muna. 100, and then mean is equal to 0. Let's use the default. Although sabi nga natin na you don't have to write that. If it's a default, you can skip that. And SD is equal to 1. Okay? So what we're going to do is, kunin natin yung class nito. No? Class ni B5. Tapos, let's also use certain functions. Head ni B5. And then let's identify just the first 5 elements here. And then tail B5. And then 5 also. And then let's do the length. Length ni B5. Okay, what are we doing here, class? So una, we're creating this object, B5, and it will generate 100 observations of mean is equal to 0 and standard deviation is equal to 1. Okay, then sulat na rin natin dito mean. Mean ng B5 and standard deviation ni B5. Okay, so this is our code chunk. And tinatanong natin, ano bang class nitong B5? We know that this is numeric. Head will print for us the first 5 observations. Tail will print for us the last 5 observations. If I don't put any number here, it will be 6. Yun ang default, no? 6. Okay, kaya pero ginawa ko na lang na 5. Okay, so B5, we're generating 100 observations with mean 0 and standard deviation is equal to 1. Then pinapaprint natin yung head, yung first 5, yung tail, yung last 5, and then gaano kalaki ng observations ni length, yung length ng B5, we know that it should be 100. And then we're asking R to compute also yung mean at saka yung standard deviation. Okay, so let's run this. Run natin to, and there we go. All right, so meron na tayong object dito na we have an object here called B5. So it's a number from 1 up to 100. So this means it's numeric. No? Numeric itong B5 na to. Numeric siya. Okay, ang class ng numeric. Ang head niya, itong class. First 5, 0.365162, 0.62, etc. So these are the first. Itong number na to, class, yung 1 na to, ibig sabihin, this is the first element in your vector. Second, third, fourth. This one, negative 5.077, this is the 5th element. Okay, so this is your head, no? Ito yung first 5. Ito naman yung last 5. Okay? Length is 100. And then mean is negative 0.01. So it's not quite close to 0 kasi dapat yung mean, di ba? And this happens because napakaliit ang sample size natin, 100 lang. Let's try to resolve that later on. And yung standard deviation, okay lang kasi practically 1. Okay. All right, any questions so far? Okay, baguhin natin to, class. Yung ano kasi, yung numbers natin, 6 decimal places, 7 pa nga. Gawin natin na ano lang, mas mababa lang. So you can use the round function. Yung round function, ganito yung syntax yan. Kunyari ganito. The first item here is ano yung number na ipinaparound nyo. Tapos second is the number of decimal places. So dito, gagamitin natin yung round B fund. We're creating this object called B5 and then ipa-round natin. Round. Okay, this is the number that we want generate rounded. Tapos comma, ilang decimal places? Here, ito. No? So gawin na lang natin 3 decimal places. There. So now, okay, yung B5 natin, it's randomly generated numbers, okay, which is normally distributed. Okay, and then we're going to round it to 3 decimal places kasi dito 7 decimal places. Okay, so i-run na natin to. Run. Okay, if you can see now, diba? 3 decimal places na siya. Okay, so nawala na yung kanina mahaba. Okay, may I ask you first, do we have the same first 5 observations and last 5 observations? Pareho ba tayo, class? Okay, no. Okay. The reason why it's no, obviously it's no, because these are randomly generated numbers. Okay. Now we can generate the same random numbers. So we can do that by using a function called set.seed. Okay. So here I wrote set.seed. If you do this and then identify the number generator, for example, let's use 999. It can be any arbitrary number. Okay. So I'm using 999. So we will generate this, by the way, class. Dali tingnan muna natin kung itong i-plot muna natin histogram. B5. I-plot natin yung histogram ni B5. Okay. So let's take a look at this. So i-print natin, i-run natin lahat. Okay, tanggalin ko muna itong set.cd dito. I-run. Alright, then you have 2 outputs here, no? 2 pages. Yung una, ito. And which was the same a while ago. And then ito yung pangalawa, yung plot. Kasi pinadrawing ko ng histogram for B5. And take note, it's not really much about normally distributed. No? Hindi siya masyadong normally distributed. Well, sort of. Pero may mga I forget the name, no? Meron tayong mga skewed values, no? Especially towards the left. May mga skewness tayo, sorry. Okay, so, but we can check statistically kung ano to, kung normally distributed. There are tests for that in R. Okay, so what we're going to do now is let's copy this. Copy na lang natin itong code chunk na to. Control-C. So, copy ko ba? Control-C. Alright, and then let me put it here. Control-V. So I'm going to create another object. Okay. Hindi yata ito na tamang B5. B5. And then, papalitan ko na lahat ng B5. Nangyari dito. Wala yung, hindi ko na-copy yung closing text. I'll highlight this. Okay. If you want to change a particular character, don't have to go through it one by one. Parang yung ano lang yan. Control F. Find. So, ipapa-find ko dun sa hin-highlight ko si B5. B5. Yan. Nag-highlight kagad siya. And then I'm going to replace it by, I'll make it B6 now. B6. Okay, it will go through the code that I highlighted. And then replace. Yan. Pupunta na siya sa susunod. B5. Pumunta na siya sa susunod. B5. B5. B6. Okay, mas mabilis to. Alright, so okay na. Okay, so, and then let's, para pareho tayo, set.seed. Sabi ko nga kanina, 999. And then let's increase this kasi 100,000, ang liit yan eh. Let's make it 100,000 observations. And of course, you can change this. Huh? So gawin natin kunyari 100. And then ang standard deviation nga, let's see. Let's make it 1.5. Okay, so mean of 100 and standard deviation 1.5. So let's run everything. Okay, yung B6 hindi ko in-enclose para hindi siya mag-print kasi pag nag-print yan, mahaba yan, matagal. No? Alright, so naka-round siya din siya sa 3 decimal places. Okay, let's change this. Gawin natin kunyari instead of 5, gawin natin 8. So this will print the first 8 and the last 8. Okay, alright, so let's run this. Run. Okay, so let's first take a look at this. Numeric. Okay, kindly tell me, class, if we have the same random generated numbers, 99.5777, yung first 8, ito. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this is the 6, this is the 7, this is the 8. And the last 8 are these ones. Ang last value niya ba, 98.322? Ito, ano nga class, paki-chat kung pareho tayo, last value. It should be 98.322. Okay, so thank you for your answers. So ito, class, randomly generated siya, and pare-pareho tayo because we used that seed and then gave it the same numbers. Of course, class, magiging pareho lang yan kung pareho yung ano natin, yung number, no? Kung ilang observations. Dapat pareho din yung mean natin at saka standard deviation. Otherwise, kasi kung magkakaiba tayo ng number of observations, kahit na pareho yung that seed natin, iba of course yung lalabas na output. Okay. So if you take a look at the histogram, okay, diba? So this is more normally distributed than the first one. Mas normally distributed siya. Okay, let me pause for a while. Okay, allow you to catch up. Baka may mga hindi kayo nakukuha. And I'll entertain questions. Any questions? If not, could I have a confirmation class kung clear siya? Okay, clear. Okay, thank you. I hope everybody's able to follow so far. Okay, so hindi pa pala natin na-discuss to, no? Ang mean niya, class, is 101.924. Okay, so medyo close enough. Okay. But sorry, ito pala, no? Sorry, I was looking at the wrong figure. This is the mean, 99.9969. So this is practically 100, di ba? And the standard deviation is 1.503719. So practically 1.5 din. So nakuha niya, class, yung mean at saka yung standard deviation. It was able to get it and quite really close. So yung kanina, yung 100 observation lang, medyo malayo-layo, no? As compared to this one, 100,000 observations. And this is because of the central limit theorem. When you increase yung number ng observations, no? Okay, it will really approximate a normal distribution. Pag mas marami. Okay, any questions so far, class? Okay, thank you. How about the others, please? Paki-chat naman kung okay tayo. Okay, good. Okay, thank you. Okay, sige, let's just finish the rest of this. The item before structural type number 2. Okay, so Vectors and integers, well, you can easily vector ng integer. So let's create B7. Oh, wait, Control Alt I. Let's create a code chunk B7. Alt minus. So one way to do this is 1L, 5L, 10L, 12L, 15L. Example lang. Okay. And then let's have this printed. And then class B7 and then type of B7. And of course, yung isa din length B7. Okay, I'm sorry. Before we go here, puntahan natin ulit itong normally distributed natin. And then of course we can compute for the summary here. Summary ng B6. Okay, if you recall, yung summary function will give us the 6 number summaries. Okay, so you have your minimum, okay, your first quartile, second quartile, mean, third quartile, and the maximum. And we know this is practically a normally distributed siya because the median is almost the same as the mean. When the mean and the median overlap, then ano yan? It's a sign that this is a normally distributed. No? Okay. So for this one, B7, nag-create tayo ng vector na, check kung may B7 na ba tayo. B6 pa na. So B7, okay, so it's an integer, no? And the length is 5. Okay. Logical vectors, by the way. Okay, so kunyari, dito na tayo sa character bago tayo pumunta sa logic. So character, okay, let's create another object, Control Shift, Control Alt I, and then let's B8 of minus. And meron mga constants sa sa R. Okay, example lang, no? Constants. All right. Okay, siguro dalawa. Yan, built-in constants. Let's take a look at that. So itong mga built-in constants, sorry. Constants. Ito, built-in constants. Ay, hindi. Ayaw. Constants. Ayaw. Wait. Okay. Bigay pa ng ano. Wait ha. Nasa base ba siya? Let me check. Base ba? Constants. Ayan. Okay. Nasa base siya. This one. Capital C pala. Sorry. Kaya pala hindi nag-run kasi capital C siya. I was typing small c. Okay. So, ito class, these are examples of built-in constants in R. An example of that is pi. Tapos letters din, no? Big letters, small letters, month abbreviation, month name. So let's try that. Gamitin lang natin siya. So I'm creating this object called B8 and then letters. Okay, so let me run this. Let me print this. Okay. And then class B8 and then length B8. Okay, so B8 letters. I run this and you can see here, diba, A, B, C, D, yeah, etc. Capital letters. So itong letters na name, it stands for the letters of the alphabet. Character siya. So we created here a vector of character vector. If I change this to small letters, then magiging small letters siya. Letters. Okay, there. So small letters siya. No? 26, as we all know. All right, then also let's try the other one. No? Let's call it B9, B9, alt minus, and then I'll just use month, dot, pwedeng name, pwedeng name na lang. Okay. And then I'm going to just copy this. Control C, Control V. Class niya B9, length of B9. All right, so let's run this. Okay, so yan, no? Yan. So we created a vector. Tignan natin dito, no? So B9. B9 here, character vector siya. January, February, ito naman. B8, character vector din siya, consisting of the letters of the alphabet. Of course, pag month.ab, abbreviation lang. Okay, so yun lang, abbreviation lang siya. Okay, any questions so far, class? Clear ba? Clear so far? I hope I'm not going too fast. Please interrupt me if I'm going too fast or if you want me to repeat a particular lesson. Okay, lastly, you have the logical vector. Gawin na lang natin to. So, B10 na tayo, no? B10 out minus. You can, of course, concatenate, no? Si true, false, true, pwede ring F, pwede ring T, okay? So there, i-print natin, and then also get the class ng B10, and then also yung length niya, ilan ba siya? Okay, so if I run this, okay, so logical siya, no? Logical. By the way, sabi ko nga, di ba, kapag pag logical, pag kinuha natin type of yan, pareho lang yan. Nag-iiba lang yung numeric. Yan, run this. Yan, logical yung class, logical din yung type of. Okay. Now, one curious thing about logical values is that, okay, what if I add this one, B10 plus 1? Pwede ba yun? B10 is a vector of logical values. And if I add plus 1, what happens, class? Control Enter. There, tinan nyo ano nangyari. No? Nag-generate siya ng result. 2, 1, 2, 2, 1, 2. Bakit? Kasi ang true is read by R as 1. Ang false, 0. So if it added 1 here, so 1 plus 1, that's 2. 1 plus 0, that's 1, okay, etc. So see, logical can be used sa numeric din kasi yung true and false can be converted into numeric, no? Okay. So I think we finished this. Okay. Subsetting na lang, we're going to continue with this, but just one. Okay. So for example, how can you subset? O paano tayo class mag-subset? Okay, for example, di ba, nag-create tayo ng object, ito, B9. B9. So I'm going to type here B9. Okay. So B9, tapos ang gusto ko lang sa kanya is around 3 to 6. So what does this mean? B9, parenthesis, 3 to 6. So di ba may B9 na tayo, di ba? What's B9? Ito yung mga January, February, March. Okay, 3 to 6, if I run this, ayan. So ang kukunin lang natin sa B9 yung 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, which is March, April, May, June. So this is what we call subsetting. And we'll continue discussing this next time. So next, on Friday class, let's target to finish the rest of this. Kasi ang natitira na lang naman yung list. Tapos, of course, we're going to focus on data frames. Yan ang pinaka-importante sa atin. Okay, and then after data frames, let's see. Let's decide kung yung matrix and arrays will be discussed in the context of our main lesson. Okay, so for now, we'll stop there. And next meeting, we're going to discuss in particular, yung data frames. All right, so let me stop recording first.